you. That's why I'm here to speak to you. You are already enough. And when you start to see that, you will start to be that. Your world will get brighter, your load will get lighter, and you can see that with life, you can be a lover, not a fighter, and that life, you deserve it. Because you are worth it. And there's no point in letting yourself keep forgetting, because no matter what you say or do, you are perfect. And so today, I hope I leave you with a direction correction away from the flaws you see in your reflection. They aren't flaws to me, they are simply protection against all the doubts you have of your perfection. So start today. Take a good long look in the mirror and say, I am who I've been looking for.
I don't think Mindvalley teaches people something new. They help people uncover what's already there. They help people realize their true potential. They help people grow. And I think that that's what Mindvalley does.
The quests that are offered and the teachings through masters from all over the world really open us up and show us how we can transform as human beings, how we can serve the world, and how we can offer what it is our purpose is meant to be.
In every single category, whether it's educating my kids or raising my inner child, or how do I go about nurturing myself, psychologically. Every answer I need as to how to up-level my life, I've gotten it through Mindvalley. It's right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are now starting. If you are here, you are in the room where we're going to have a panel between a vision and one of our most influential Mindvalley membership teachers, Naveen Jain. If you haven't heard of Naveen Jain yet, then you are in for a treat. Think of someone who inspires you to think big, but big beyond what you think you can even achieve. Naveen's story is something that can show what a human being can do in a lifetime. He comes from India. He moved to America, to the US, with $5, and he became many years later one of the most influential entrepreneurs in the entire world. And he teaches the high-level people in the world on how to achieve things even further. He wrote a book called Moonshots that is all about this idea, how far you can take an idea, how far you can take a project that goes beyond measure anything that you can dream of and anything that anyone can achieve. And his message is a lot about that. Today, Naveen Jain is CEO of a company called Viome that is working to develop a technology to make illness an option. It's something bold like that. They see humanity in a way that, we'll be in a state of health that illness is only can happen in your life if you choose to. He's looking into impact the whole humanity. And his idea is, if you're working for something, and if you are successful in what you're working, and when you are successful, the idea does not reach at least 1 billion people, then why are you working on it? This is one of the things that I love about Naveen the most. And the last one If you go on YouTube and put Naveen Jain on YouTube, you see a lot of amazing and inspirational talks. But there's one video that is my favorite. There's a party full of billionaires. And there's a lot of tables and people are having dinner and everyone is looking bored, looking a little bit bored and having their food. But there's one table where the party is happening. A couple of billionaires there, and in the middle of all of them, there is Naveen Jain making magic tricks. And this is what I saw. This is amazing. This is a guy that is touching, the lives of many human beings, and is the one that is the life of the party, that is making everyone alive and vibrant. So you're gonna be able to experience a bit more of how this man thinks and get inspired by his idea. And alongside in a conversation with our founder of Mindvalley that I welcome you on stage, Mr. Vishen Lakhiani.
Hello, Ronan. Thank you so much for that fine introduction. And Naveen. Ronan,
there's a lot of intensity here. There's a lot of passion in this.
Ronan's mic and my mic just got entangled and got ripped off our faces. I think I'm good now, right? You guys can hear me okay? Naveen Jain, I can't wait to have you on screen. Is Naveen ready to go? Hi, Naveen.
Hi, Vishen. How are you?
Naveen, give me a second. I think I lost my mic. Here we go. Okay, I can hear you now, Naveen.
Awesome, Vishen. Looking forward to this.
So, Naveen, firstly, congratulations on the artificial intelligence that your team at Viome just released, which got FDA approval to detect cancer. Tell us about that. We just shared that announcement with 15,000 people in the opening of Mindvalley Summit.
Well, first of all, Vishen, I hate talking about me and myself. So I'm going to get quickly through that so we can talk about the things, the people who are listening to it, how they can benefit from the things that we have been learning. This particular thing was about us simply using a saliva, the spit of a person, to be able to detect if someone has a very early stage throat cancer or oral cancer. But my fundamental belief is we'll be able to predict the diseases before they happen. We'll be able to prevent the diseases from happening using the food as a medicine. And if that does not work, we'll be able to show you as you're taking the different times in your life, are you moving towards a particular disease or you're moving away from a particular disease? And we are now, Vishen, able to predict 30 different diseases, from colorectal cancer to obesity to diabetes, like depression or anxiety. We are able to detect early diagnosis of cancer. We just talked about the 2 cancers. We really believe we'll be able to diagnose all different types of cancer. And we really hope someday we'll be able to find out if you have to take a drug, which is the drug that's most likely to work for you, which drug is not going to work for you, and then to be able to develop a personalized precision drugs just for you. And one of the things we really believe, Vishen, as you mentioned in the opening, was that food is a medicine. The supplements are the medicine. And we actually develop the personalized supplements for each individual based on exactly what they need. So with that,
I love that. Well, congratulations. But here's why I asked that question. So backstory, folks. Yeah. 2 years ago, I was at an event called Consumer Health Summit, and I saw Naveen speak, right? And Naveen was the guest of honor, and he spoke and he said something really, really, really bold. He said he was going to transform healthcare in America. Now, this was a summit with maybe 70, 80 leading health experts, biohackers, doctors, some of the leading people in the United States working on healthcare. Naveen said he was going to transform an entire industry. And everybody was taken by that. It was very inspiring. But the first reaction was, it's one of those goals, like, I'm going to touch 1 billion lives. But then now I see that you're actually doing it, and you're 2 years in. Naveen wrote a book called Moonshots. And in the book Moonshots, he basically explains why we need to think so massively big. And the bigger our goals, the easier they become. It's a counterintuitive truth. Now, I read the book Moonshots. Naveen spoke about moonshots, his moonshot, sending a robot to the moon, the literal moonshot. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I was so inspired by that book, I asked Naveen to become a teacher on Mindvalley. And Naveen produced a program, The Power of Boldness. And in the program, you see how a boy growing up in a village in India goes on to become a man who is not only today with Viome transforming healthcare, but also the first private citizen in the world to get permission to land a robot on the moon. Naveen, thank you for joining us, and thank you for being an inspiration.
Well, now let's have some fun.
Let's talk about moonshots. See, and I like that about you. But you see, I have to shine the light on you because you yourself, talking about what you've done with Biome, talking about your accomplishments, does inspire us. It inspires us to dream bigger. But first, let's get to your theory of moonshots. What are moonshots and why are they important?
Yeah. So first of all, Vishen, as you know, the moonshots are the goals that most people believe are impossible. These are the things that can never be done. And I'm going to shine a light on you, Vishen, because you always never talk about yourself, which is, I remember 2 years ago, you and I talked about it. You were saying the Mindvalley is this meditation program and really transforming life through meditation. And I said, no, Vishen, you are fundamentally going to rethink education, and you can be the Harvard of and the Stanford of education, because that education system is obsolete. It is ripe for disruption, and somebody like you is going to have to do that. And today, when I heard your whole vision of how you're doing that, it just brings me so much pride that you took a simple idea and you made it happen. So these are the moonshots. Someone actually goes out and saying, what can I do if successful will impact the lives of billion people, right? And this is really, Vishen, if I may just add, go slightly tangent. Every time I start a project, I ask myself 3 questions. Why this? Why now? Why me? And why this is, God forbid you are actually successful in solving the problem, would it help a billion people live a better life? And the reason you ask yourself that is because then it tells you that, this company, if it can improve a life of billion people, you can create $100 billion company. But you don't go create $100 billion company, simply set out to create $100 billion company, right? The second part is why now? The timing needs to be right. What technology are you using to solve the problem? That means what had changed in the last couple of years, but most importantly, what do you expect to change in the next 3 to 5 years that will allow you to solve the problem today than it was possible about half a decade ago. So look at what you're doing. Now you're using the artificial intelligence. You're using the massive amount of data. You're using the massive amount of connectivity to actually do things that was never possible when Harvard and Stanford started. They have access to thousands of people. You have access to millions of people, and AI that you're going to use is going to be substantially smarter. The same thing we did with Biome. We say, what if we can bring millions of people together, understand exactly what's happening inside their body, and use AI to be able to say, this is what you need to stay healthy. Eat this food, and here is why. Don't eat this food, and here is why. Take these supplements in this dosages, and don't have to take any of the other supplements because you're simply wasting your money, right? The last part is the most important part, that you really ask yourself, why me? And why me is simply about what questions you are asking that are different from what everyone else is asking. Because the question you ask is the problem you solve, right? So when you ask yourself a question and saying, if we're going to live on the moon, how are we going to grow the food on the moon? Guess what happens? The only solution is to find a way to grow the food. But if you change the question to say, why do we eat food? Then you can see there are many ways you can solve that problem, because the only reason you eat food is you need nutrition and you need energy. Can you get energy from radiation? Can you get energy from photosynthesis? Can you get nutrition from hydrogen and oxygen from the water? What else do you need? And suddenly, instead of growing the food, now you're looking at many different ways the problem can be solved. And we did the same thing with the Biome, which is where we say, look, everyone is looking at DNA. What if DNA does not change when you get sick? So for example, I measure your DNA, and then now you gain 200 pounds. Your DNA is still the same. Now you become depressed. Now you have heart disease. Now you have autoimmune disease. Your DNA hasn't changed. But what's really changing is your RNA. And we would realize, what if we could measure our mRNA of each individual? We will be able to find out, are you progressing towards a disease or you're moving away from a disease? What is causing you to have a disease? And then we can actually do something about it. And asking the right question is really the key to success for any entrepreneur.
I love that. So, Naveen, one of the ways you inspired me with that is I was interviewing you on Mindvalley last year. It was August. It was a smaller version of this event, Mindvalley Live. And we were talking about education, and you said, Vishen, ask yourself, how can we allow people to subscribe to each other's brain? So as I get smarter, the other person gets smarter. Well, proud to say we launched our product inspired by that question today, Mindvalley Insights. Anybody can go to insights.mindvalley.com. And Naveen, if you go there, you will see people who are taking notes of our conversation right now. And you can see their notes, you can see what they are learning from you, you can subscribe to their brain. So all the other notes that they generate, you will get a list. And so all of you should go to insights.mindvalley.com and create an insight. You can attach it to Naveen's talk. You can tag it Naveen Jain. And all the ideas all of us are getting from Naveen Jain, we can subscribe to each other's notes and ideas, okay? Check it out, insights.mindvalley.com. And by the way, it's free. There are lots of services for our members, but this is one of the things where we know if we get more people on it, our members get greater insights, right? Because our members get to subscribe to your brain. So maybe becoming a Mindvalley member, $1.60 a day, maybe, in some places, maybe you can't afford that. That's okay. Insights is free for you. But all of you who are members, go crazy with this. You are going to love this because you can now subscribe to each other's brains. Now, Naveen, we were talking about what you're doing with Viome and customized medicine, right? One of the most fascinating things that Viome is doing, and I think everyone needs to know this, is helping create customized supplements because of your gut microbacteria. And people don't get that. People don't understand that they have more bacteria cells in their body than human cells, and that 3 to 4% of your body mass is actually not you, it's bacteria. Tell us why this is significant and what we need to know about it.
Well, Vishen, I think you already said most. 99% of all the genes that are expressed in our body are not our own. They don't come from our mom and dad. These are the microorganisms that are inside our gut, in our mouth, all our body, in fact, in our nose, in our ear. And they transform who we are. Our human genes are simply there to bring us life, and our microbes actually make it come alive. These are, so every single time you look at the diseases, you will see the microbiome is actually deeply involved because it is constantly interacting with our immune system. So 70% of our immune system is along our gut lining. 90% of all the serotonin is produced in our gut. So in fact, now we can see clearly that not only the obesity, diabetes, heart diseases are caused by how your microbes digest your food, but if you look at the mental health, especially nowadays, you'll see the depression and anxiety is directly connected to our gut. Our gut and brain are connected through the vagus nerve. And in fact, what we really find, Vishen, very fascinating to me is the reason I get up at 4 a.m. every day and I work until late night is because we know we are helping people live a better life. Our customer, 97% of our customers report that within 4 months, they lose weight. They actually have, better glucose control. They don't have acne or eczema. They are getting rid of their depression and anxiety. They're sleeping better. They have, more energy. And to me, that is the key to the human life, is that if we can get rid of these chronic diseases, we can have ability not have to suffer. I mean, I lost my dad, Vishen, as you know, to cancer. To me, it is personal to get rid of cancer. Right. And I think I remember at CHS, I said, I'm absolutely convinced within a decade, we are going to absolutely get rid of cancer. Amazing. And I think we're getting a step closer every single day. We are now developing a vaccine for one of the cancer. We are developing a vaccine for autoimmune diseases. And I really believe one day we're going to live in a world where being sick is truly the matter of choices we make every day, not a matter of bad luck.
So you said something really interesting, right? You said that depression, anxiety, it's actually from our gut. It's what's going on in our gut. Right. Explain that.
Yeah. So basically what happens is that gut microbes release the metabolites and basically a micro poop. We feed them and they actually poop out the stuff that we absorb. And that, along with that, changes the human gene expression, and that through the vagus nerve, they create the neurotransmitter. I just said 90% of serotonin is produced in our gut, not in our brain. So our gut and brain are connected directly, In fact, I would argue that our microbes are like the puppet masters constantly pulling the strings, and actually that controls our brain. In fact, even the cancer, now we notice that every single tumor has microbes inside the tumor. And whether the therapy for cancer, immunotherapy or chemotherapy, how effective it is, that depends on how your microbes are trained. Simply changing the microbe changes whether your drug currently that's not working starts working, and whether it is you're taking a levodopa for Parkinson's, digoxin for heart disease. Their effectiveness depends on your gut microbiome. Your health depends on your gut microbiome. So when you balance your gut microbiome, you actually can live healthier and prevent the chronic diseases from happening at the first place.
I love that. And this is such an intriguing idea, right? That 90% of serotonin is produced in our gut, not our brain. Now, what is serotonin? It is the chemical that creates happiness, that elevates our moods. So if we don't get our gut right, our moods get distorted. What else does serotonin do?
Okay, so serotonin is also actually helps the gut lining, the epithelial barrier, and it also interacts with the epithelial cells, and it's constantly releasing based on the gut metabolites, things which are nutrients for your body, such short chain fatty acid like butyrate, right? And that actually not only our body needs these nutrition, whether it's a vitamin D, vitamin K, or many of the nutrients that our human body cannot produce, and we rely on these microbes to do that. One of the interesting things is that people have this concept of that you have to eat healthy, and there are some healthy foods out there. And what we learned, Vishen, was really interesting. There is no such thing as universal healthy food, or there is universal healthy supplement. So for me, when I started Vyome journey, the things that I thought I was eating healthy, and I was absolutely convinced Vishen is going to tell me that I'm the healthiest person out there because I'm a vegan and I'm eating, I'm eating spinach, I'm eating broccoli, I'm eating Brussels sprout. And it told me, stop eating broccoli and Brussels sprout and cabbage because your sulfide production in your gut is too high and it's causing inflammation. Stop eating spinach because you cannot digest oxalate. And I thought that was what a crazy thought. And guess what? I thought maybe I'll stop eating broccoli and stuff, but spinach, I love spinach. I'm not going to do that. Ends up is I end up getting a kidney stone, exactly what it says was going to happen if I didn't do that, right? So my point was, suddenly I realized that things that I thought were healthy were actually unhealthy for me.
Right. So earlier today, before we kicked off this summit, I spoke about supplements. Right, guys, I shared with you Dr. Daniel Amen's supplement list. Well, the next level of supplements and where we are going is through companies like Vyome, Vyome.com. Go check out the website, creating customized supplements based on exactly what your microbiome needs. So go check it out. Now, I'm also going to encourage you guys and invite you guys to ask questions to Naveen. We're going to bring up 2 to 3 people live on stage with us, through Zoom, of course, to ask your biggest question to Naveen. So here's what I want you to do next. I want you to click on Q&A, go to the Q&A window, ask a question to Naveen. The question can be on anything. It can be on boldness or moonshots, as Naveen's program in Mindvalley is about. It can be on Vyome and the gut microbiome. It can be on Moon Express. We're going to talk about that in a moment, and sending a robot to the moon. It can be on Naveen's philosophy or growing up in India. Whatever you want, type in your questions, and then you can vote up questions. And the questions with the most votes, we're going to bring you live to interview Naveen, and you will get the rights to get the copy of that video to share on your Instagram. Naveen, as we're waiting for questions to come in, I want to ask you this question. We just asked this to Mark Cuban, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Given everything that's happening in the world today, what excites you most about the world, and what maybe scares you a little bit?
So I can tell you that we are living in the most innovative decade in the human history. There has never been a better time to be alive. This is the decade where we are going to be able to disrupt education. We are going to disrupt healthcare. We're going to disrupt automotive industry. In fact, half of the Fortune 500 companies will not be around in the next 10 to 15 years. New leaders are going to be created. The entrepreneurs are the ones who are going to become the next superpower. I just absolutely believe there is no problem that cannot be solved through entrepreneurship and innovation. And I really think one of the person listening to this conversation will be that person who actually would disrupt the industry that they set out to do. The thing we have to change about ourselves is we have been taught about the passion. And I think the passion is for hobbies. Passion is for losers. The entrepreneurs have true obsession. They really they go to sleep thinking about it, like Mark Cuban said. They wake up in the morning wanting to solve that problem. When you develop that type of true obsession, that you go to sleep wanting to solve the problem, and you jump out of the bed every morning wanting to solve the problem, you have found your true calling. And once you find your true calling, nothing can stop you, because you're going to go out and solve that problem. And it just takes one person to say, enough is enough, I'm going to go out and do that. Never ever think about, what if it doesn't work? But guess what? Anytime your idea does not work, it's simply a stepping stone to a different idea and bigger idea, and you keep pivoting until you get to the solution.
That's very interesting. I read an interview with Larry Page of Google, and he spoke about moonshots, and he said that. He said, even though you may fail at your moonshot, you're not really going to fail, because you're going to learn. And that learning will give you a new idea, and a new idea, and a new idea. You may not hit the moonshot, but by aiming for a moonshot, you are constantly going to be learning.
Yes.
Now,
I think more than anything else, well, please go ahead.
I was going to say, in your book on moonshots, you talk about why moonshot goals are actually easier, you said, because you get the talent, you get the investor. Let's go into that.
Yeah. That's good. So I think the reason is, when you have an audacious idea that, if successful, can really change the lives of billions of people, guess what happens? The best and the brightest in the world want to help you solve the problem, because the smartest people want to work on the toughest problem, and the people who are successful want to work on something that is going to make them significant. So that means your audacious idea becomes a magnet for the world's talent. When you have the world's talent at your disposal, guess what happens? All the financial resources from all over the world want to start pouring in, because when you have that type of talent, no problem cannot be solved. So you start to get the money. And what's the interesting thing is that every single of the customer, your potential customer, want to help you succeed, because they know through their efforts, they're actually not only helping themselves, they're helping the humanity move forward. And that's one of the reasons that we love about Viome, that every single person who signs up not only gets better themselves, their information they contribute about what's causing them to have a disease helps our AI, helps every single person who came before them and who came after them. And that's why we believe that, humanity coming together, especially now, is going to fundamentally change many of the industries, and the toughest problems get solved because they are easier to solve than actually doing something small.
Amazing, amazing, Naveen. Thank you so much for that. So I want to switch gears a little bit. We have spoken about moonshots. We've spoken about Viome, which is your current company. But there's another thing I really love about you and respect about you, because we've known each other through the X Prize Foundation since 2013. And it is the way you raise your children, right? You involve them. And I can't remember if it was a personal conversation we had, or if I saw you give a speech.
I remember exactly where we were, actually.
This was
where we were.
Where were we? Because you know the question I'm going to ask, right?
We were at the Dean Kamen's thing, watching the World Cup for the robotics.
Oh, we were watching the Robotics World Cup. Okay, so what happened was this. I asked Naveen about how he raises his kids, because all his kids are doing such amazing, amazing things in the world. Naveen's daughter, for example, is pioneering new AI to help women with bacteria in their reproductive organs. His son is pioneering new ways to prevent eviction in New York. They're not just building great companies, they're building companies that can change the world. So I asked Naveen, how are you raising your kids? And he said something really interesting, Naveen.
Well, so first of all, raising children in an affluent family is very different, because I grew up poor, and we had a significant amount of hunger to do something. When your kids are growing up in an affluent family, you have to fundamentally change their perspective. And we started when they were early that their success will never be defined by how much money they have in the bank. It will be defined by how many lives they were able to improve. We told them their self-worth will never come from what they own. Their self-worth will come from what they create. We taught them that the humility is a sign of success. The day you become humble is the day you become successful. Because if you're still trying to prove something to yourself or someone else, then you become arrogant, right? So I think, to me, our children were always taught that there is nothing that is not possible. And the curiosity, we created the intellectual curiosity in them, and we taught them there was nothing was impossible. And if I may just digress for 30 seconds, what happens is that when you are successful, you always believe the best thing you can do is now, if your children are young, is to actually retire and spend time with the family. But what you're not seeing is from their perspective what happens. So remember, if you are sitting at home because you have made significant amount of money and you want to spend time with the family, the kids go to school, watch you sitting on the sofa watching CNBC. When they come back from school, they watch you sitting on the sofa watching CNBC, and you telling them, go work hard. Hard work is what it takes to be successful. And all they're thinking is, I want to grow up just like my dad, sit on the sofa, watch CNBC. Instead, they saw me start my second company, the third company, the fourth company. And the dad goes nuts and said, we're going to go to the moon. And they said, Dad, it's impossible. And we show them it is possible. Dad now goes nuts and said, we're going to change healthcare. They said, Dad, no one does that. And you show them it can be done. And guess what? That's the reason our daughter says, Dad, I can change women's health. And by the way, if I can just mention, she started a company called EV, just like your daughter's name, Eve, is EVVY. And if you just go check out EV.com, she's doing a whole women's health company. I think she's going to be so proud that I mentioned her. Right? Ankur, who is our oldest son, is actually literally on covered by New Yorker magazine, Wall Street Journal, Entrepreneur magazine, Inc. magazine. He's doing multiple companies that are fundamentally helping the middle class live better. And our youngest one, so by the way, our daughter went to Stanford STEM Fellow, Stanford Mayfield Fellow. He started the first company to remove the gender bias from hiring, and now doing the second, using AI to improve women's health. Youngest one, Stanford graduate, became a Schwarzman scholar, and now he's actually working in a startup company to fundamentally rethink how home ownership works, right? And our oldest one went to Wharton, and he actually now doing 3 companies. He's on to his 3rd unicorn. The first he's already sold, and now he's on to the 3rd unicorn.
What?
So to me, I'm just so proud of them. And we always told, if I can tell one thing, Bashan, the one thing we told them was, our love for you is unconditional, but our approval is not. That means we'll always love you despite what you do, but we may not be proud of you. And if you really want us to be proud of you, go out and do something that will improve people's life. And even though when they were there, they say, whatever, Dad, they went out to do the things because that will make us proud. And to me, that is, if I could say one thing that I am most proud of, it is our children.
That is beautiful, Naveen, beautiful. And what I love about that is, I was interviewing a parenting expert by the name of Shelley Lefko. And Shelley said the most important role for any parent is the beliefs you put in the head of your children. And you've been really curating the beliefs of moonshots, the beliefs of doing the impossible, the beliefs of potential, the beliefs of drive into your kids. So kudos there. That conversation we had, you told me something else. You mentioned that from the time Ankur was 6 years old, you would take him, this little boy, to networking events with you, and you'd let him run around the room and go up to billionaires and, pull their trouser legs and ask them questions. And he grew up surrounded by the idea that anything was possible. And by the way, I took that lesson to heart so much that in this space we are in right now, this is the biggest conference center in Estonia, right? Every 2 years, we do a massive Mindvalley University here. Thousands of people come to Estonia, take over the entire city. We have 300 events. And by the way, we encourage everyone to come with their kids. So kids are welcome everywhere. The kids are at the parties till midnight. The kids are running around the conference room, and people love it because that idea came from you. You don't even know that. But the removal of the barrier between adults and children at all Mindvalley event happened after we had that conversation. And so thank you for that.
Well, it's really, I'm so glad you did that, because Vishen, to us, I think, we focus so much on about teaching children certain set of skills. And what I learned was that, children need to develop curiosity. And the best way to do that is to expose them to different ideas. And I think it's a totally different subject. Like I remember my daughter when she was 16, she came to me and said, Dad, I really found my passion. I want to pursue it. And I said, sweetie, you're too young to have a passion. You're not letting the dad do his job to expose you to the things that you need to be exposed to. And it changed her life because she would have never realized the things she didn't know. Right. How could she not like them? And then I said, learn about these technologies, even though she did not care about technology. And now she's passionate about or obsessed about using AI to solving human problems.
So those of you who were here earlier may have noticed that I had my son and I had my daughter on stage with me. What I was doing unconsciously, other than comedic, a comedic sense to the intention, what I was doing specifically, deliberately, was shifting their belief. I brought my daughter here to demonstrate exercise because she just, as a 6-year-old, demonstrated exercise routines to 10,000 people. When she grows up, she's going to have the belief, wow, I'm a badass. My son just communicated with Mark Cuban. He played the saxophone for Mark Cuban. Now, he's still learning, and Mark Cuban greeted him. Hayden, I love that. My son now, when he grows up, he's like, whoa, I just spoke to Mark Cuban. He's not going to be shy speaking to his boss or speaking to his principal. And so that was what I was doing. I was directly taking your advice and applying it in life by curating the experiences my kids have so their beliefs are elevated. And I think that's one of the most important tips any parent could give.
Agree, completely agree. And I think only other things I would say if I'm going to give another parenting advice would be the children to believe there is no such thing as ups and downs in life. Because if you're going to be living, the only way we know you're alive is you have a heartbeat, and the heartbeat goes up and down and up and down. And when you are down, you have to hunker down, and the next beat is going to be up. And when you are on top of the beat, never ever get too cocky because you know the winter is coming. But what most people don't realize is they tell children to be steady, live a smooth life. A smooth life, if you know in a heartbeat, is a dead life. So when your heartbeat is smooth, you're dead. Why would you want your children to live a life of a dead person? And that to me is actually fundamentally a wrong belief to create. You tell children, go out and be so adventurous that you don't know if the next beat is going to be up or down, but eventually you want to live that life that has ups and downs because it tells you you're alive. You never want to have a smooth life because that's the life of a dead person.
That's so exciting.
And you're better off not living
I love that. And that's a message for all of us as well. So Naveen, we want to now bring up members of the audience. We have our first person who has the #1 question, Shishir Shrivastava. So Shishir Shrivastava, we're going to bring you on stage. Please introduce us by telling us where you're dialing in from, and then go ahead and ask your question to Naveen. Shishir, we can't hear you. Okay, now we can.
Yeah, so this is a dream come true. And my question to Naveen is that we are surrounded by so many problems in our lives, in our societies. So how do we actually go around creating sustainable businesses around these problems?
Well, very good question, first of all, Suresh. Remember, every single problem is an opportunity. The bigger the problem, bigger the opportunity. And all you have to do is take the first step. You may not actually know how you're going to solve the problem. The fact, if you became the person who actually takes the first step towards solving the problem, you will become master at it because you are the one who has taken the first step and know what worked or what didn't work. And now that means you have better skill to solve that problem. In fact, the less you know about the industry you're about to enter, the better off you are, because as an expert, the best you can do is to make something 10% better or 15% better. But if you're a non-expert, if you don't know anything about that industry, you're able to make it 10 times better or 100 times better. So to me, don't look at the world as is, focus on what you want the world to be, and take a first step towards creating that world that you can dream, the world that you can see. And don't let someone tell you that you're hallucinating, because the only people who are hallucinating, the ones who cannot see the solution, who cannot actually see the world that it can be there. So to me, create a world that you want to live in, and you are the only one that will be able to be successful in creating that.
Beautiful, Naveen. Thank you so much, Shishir, for your amazing question. Now, the next question comes to us from Apurva. Apurva is ready to come on as a panelist. Apurva, welcome to the stage. Please let us know where in the world you are and go ahead with your question.
So I'm from India, and my question is, so I had this dream basically of creating an impact, like a massive impact, so that when I die, I leave something which is like with the world, that's, you know, makes better for the world. So now in this pandemic, the pandemic has shown me that, you know, you can do a lot of stuff. So how can I take advantage of this pandemic for creating a better world?
Okay. Well, so first of all, the better world can be created many ways. You have to find out what is it that you care about, right? So find out, ask yourself, what are you willing to die for, and then live for it? Or you can do backward and say, if I had everything I want in my life, I had billions of dollars, I have a loving family, I have everything I want, what would I do? And if you do that today, is what's going to allow you to create what you want. So always find what is that you want, what's your North Star, what makes you wake up at 4 a.m., jump out of the bed. And that, you know, the reverse exercise is when you wake up in the morning, and if you're not jumping out of the bed, whatever you're doing, you should quit that, because that is not what your life's calling is. Once you find your life's calling, there is no way you can spend the 30 seconds in the bed after you wake up. You jump out of the bed because there is so much to do. And I know, Vishen, you probably do jump out of the bed every day, because I know you're doing God's work.
I rather sit down and meditate, and then I jump out of the bed. So I hope you guys enjoyed that incredible, mind-blowing thing with Naveen. Now, what I want to show you is, for all of you who are members, I want to show you Naveen's program on Mindvalley. I'm so proud of like how beautiful this program is. I'm going to share my screen right now. So, crew, if you could bring up the screen share on the Apple TV. Naveen, just stay with us for a moment, because I think you'd love to see this as well. So this is The Power of Boldness by Naveen. And this program takes you through a 2-week journey to change the way you think about the world. Now, I want to show you just a welcome video with Naveen. It's beautiful, and it really tells his story.
The surface look like they're impossible to do, very difficult to do. But these are the ideas, if successful, can help billions of people live a better life. The bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunities. If you want to create a $1 billion company, you have to solve a $10 billion problem. And if you really want to be creating a $100 billion company, you have to solve a $1 trillion problem. These $1 trillion problems tend to be social problems. Lack of fresh water, disrupting healthcare, disrupting education, creating sustainable energy. Every one of them is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And every one of them is ripe for disruption. I came from very humble beginnings. We grew up in India. So many people talk about how can I do something, and I look at myself in my life and saying, you know, I came from nothing, where the times we didn't have food to eat, we didn't have a place to stay. God has been amazingly kind to us. I've started 7 companies. Every one of them has been widely successful. I worked with Bill Gates when Microsoft was a very tiny company, really looking at the early days of the Microsoft. And then I started a company called InfoSpace that went on to become one of the largest companies on the internet. And I've gone on to start companies like Moon Express, the only company that actually have a permission to leave Earth orbit and land on the moon, and really to be able to bring back the resources that's going to make the lives of billions of people better on Earth and create a multi-planetary society. I started a company called Viome that is disrupting healthcare truly, where one day we're going to create a world where being sick is truly a matter of choice, not a matter of bad luck. I believe once you become an expert at something, you become useless. You become an incrementalist. Sure, as an expert, you can make something 10% better, but if you're going to make something 10 times better, you're not going to be able to do that if you're an expert. Moving from one industry to another industry allows you to challenge, allows you to disrupt that industry from inside out. And I hope by the time you finish this quest, you'll be able to learn everything you need to know so that you can find not only your own moonshot, but to be able to achieve your moonshot. The reason I started this quest was because I wanted to answer all the common questions that people have been asking me is, how do you find your obsession? How do you find your moonshot? How do you go out and actually achieve your moonshot? How do you even launch a moonshot? What if you really have no money? What do you do? I know nothing about the industry. How am I the one who's going to be solving this problem? And this quest is about you, is about finding your true obsession. How do you go about it step by step, doing the things you need to do to be able to achieve your moonshot? Anyone who goes through this quest is going to come out with this amazing thinking of that every audacious idea is possible, and they're going to have the tools and the techniques and exactly what to do to be able to achieve these crazy ideas. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Beautiful, right? Every time I hear Naveen speak, he inspires. He inspires you to think bigger, to go bolder. Let's have Naveen back on screen, please. And so what you just saw was just the opening 3-minute of The Power of Boldness, which is Naveen's 2-week program on Mindvalley. Now, what Naveen does is, every day for 2 weeks, it's a 20-minute class. All Mindvalley programs are 20 minutes a day. And he builds up the behaviors, the practices, the thinking in you over 14 days so that you are a bold thinker. And you understand how to take whatever career you're in, whatever dreams you have, and elevate them to do the impossible. I knew I had to produce this program with Naveen because Naveen helped inspire me to be bold. And the way he communicates and speaks will inspire you as well. So all of you who are Mindvalley members, if you're excited by this conversation, go enroll in it. You can go through the entire program. If you're not a member, just go to mindvalley.com/membership and become a member. And of course, everything is then unlocked for you. The social network, 500 meditations, 50+ programs, Mindvalley meetups around the world. I believe sincerely it is the single best thing you can put money in, because your entire life changes for $1.38 a day. That's it. Now, Naveen, back to you. Firstly, thank you for being one of our most inspiring teachers on Mindvalley. I want to bring up our next question, and this is about your company, Viome, and this is from Lauren Papp. So let's bring Lauren Papp on screen.
Hi, Vishen.
Hi, Lauren.
Naveen. Thank you so much.
How are you, Lauren?
For organizing this, and I'm enrolled in the health coach certification, and excited to learn more about this tool that we can bring to larger populations. I'm not sure why we're getting feedback. Sorry about that.
So, Lauren, would you like to go ahead with your question for Naveen?
Yeah, great. So can you tell us how your supplements are manufactured? Are they food-based, synthetic, hybrid, or something else? I'd like to know, both for myself and for my clients, what are the benefits of your supplements beyond the AI-assisted personalization?
So Lauren, I'm going to read out the question again because there seems to be some echo problem, okay? So stay on screen, but just mute. Okay, so Lauren said, can you tell me how Viome supplements are manufactured? Are they food-based, synthetic, hybrid, or something else? What are some other benefits other than the AI-assisted personalization?
Okay, so first of all, Vishen and Lauren, thank you very much for asking the question. All of our supplements are made in the United States. Everything is completely vegan, everything is completely organic, and everything is manufactured with the highest possible quality. But that is really, I mean, anybody can say that. What is most interesting is there is no pre-made supplement for you. There is nothing pre-made. We literally analyze your blood, we analyze your stool, and very soon we're going to be analyzing your saliva. That tells us everything that's happening in your body. What is your gut health? What is your immune health? What is your cellular health? What is your mitochondrial health? What is your stress response health? What's your biological age? What is your sulfide production, your uric acid production, your putrescine production, your ammonia production? And then we say, here is what you need. You need 17 milligram of amylase. You need 19 milligram of elderberry. You need 79 milligram of fisetin. And we literally make those capsules in that dosages for each individual. We give you all the probiotics you need, all the prebiotics you need, all the vitamins, minerals, herbs, food extract, digestive enzymes, everything made for each individual shipped to you. And every single time when you do it retest, you can see how your scores are improving. So it's not about believing and having a faith that my supplements are doing good for us. You can actually see the improvement you have. So you can see, here was my immune health. Now look at where my immune health is now. Look at my cellular health. Look at my biological age. And you can see every score that improved or every score that did not improve. And any score that does not improve actually allows us to learn, why is it that this does not work for Lauren? And then we actually make you N of 1, and we keep trying until it works for you. And from learning we have that from you, now we can apply that to everyone else. That means every single supplement is made to you for you, precisely robotically just for you, with everything that you need: probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes, minerals, herbs, food extracts, and showing you the feedback loop so you can see that your actions are actually improving your health, and having your health insight before and having your health inside after, and constantly changing them. So every time you do a retest, we readjust the foods you need, readjust the supplements you need. And that to me is closing the loop, is really what every consumer needs.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Lauren, for your question. So Naveen, as we come to the last 2 minutes of our time together, I'd love to ask you 2 questions. The first one is, give us an idea of how you structure your day so you stay healthy, happy, and productive.
Well, Vishen, it's what I do is actually what's good for me. And I don't think anyone should ever follow someone else's habit. Following someone's habit does not make you like them. Following their mindset makes them like you, right? So I think, it's better to follow someone's mindset than their habit, right? Tony Robbins takes an ice bath every day. You can take an ice bath 3 times a day. You're not going to become Tony Robbins. So to me, what works for me is, the early morning meditation, that you really, really thinking about your mind, thinking about your body, thinking about the nutrition, and really learning something new. So I spend every day at least an hour and a half in the morning reading the scientific literature, really learning about every industry, not just about the healthcare industry, what is happening in the nuclear industry, what's happening in the industry that I have nothing to do about. Because guess what? Every time you learn something new, you can apply that to your own business. Just by listening to your 7 o'clock call about all the things you're doing at Mindvalley, and I kept taking notes. I say, I need to do that for Viome. I need to do that for Viome. I need to create that community for Viome. I need to do these insights for Viome. And I'm thinking, wow, so anytime you're learning from someone who is good at it, you can actually apply to what you're doing.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And thank you for listening to our 7 o'clock calls. It's so nice having you as part of a Mindvalley membership as well. So now my second question is, as we come to the last few seconds of this conversation, what would be your closing message, your closing words for all of us here?
God, my closing words will be, intellectual curiosity is what's going to always drive you forward. It's going to drive the humanity forward. The day you stop learning is the day you die. So never, ever stop learning. It doesn't matter who you meet in your life. There is something you can learn from them. So always be open to learning. For every interaction, every conversation you have is actually an opportunity to learn. And always dream so big that people think you're crazy, and never be afraid to fail, because you only fail when you give up. So never, ever give up.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you so much. And thank you, all of you, for joining us in our beautiful conversation with the one and only Naveen Jain. Naveen, take care. Have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Vishen.
Take care, Naveen.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Back to you, Ronan.
unbelievably beautiful. Thank you, Vishen. Thank you, Naveen. This was crazy amazing. You know, a couple of things that stayed in my mind is Naveen saying the passion is for a hobby. When you think, I should be a passionate person, yeah, passion, very cute. This is for a hobby. You need to be obsessive about something, you know. And when we were showing the clip of his program for the Mindvalley members, he was talking about the idea that if you are an expert, this is a great way of becoming useless. You know, you need to jump from one area to the. What is the extent of impact that you can generate when you move from one area to the other? It's beautiful to hear the amount of knowledge that Naveen has about human health. But if we were having a conversation with him about how to land a robot in the moon, he would have the same depth of knowledge. So this is one of the things that stayed with me in this conversation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have a short break, and it will take us more or less 8 minutes from now. After this break, we are going to have 3 options of sessions. So we are going to have 3 parallel rooms running. One of them will be a meditation session with Jeanette, who's part of the Mindvalley team. We are going to have a session in the room number 2 with one of our most inspiring Mindvalley teachers for our Mindvalley members, Shefali Tsabari, on radical awakening. So if you are looking for that, I'm going to tell you where to go for the links. And we're also going to have a third session called Tap Into Your Soul with Jennifer Partridge. So now for you to find where you want to go, you have a couple of options. First, try going to mindvalley.com/summit/agenda. This is where you find all the links and all the parallel sessions. If, in case, I know there's a lot of people trying to get there, if it doesn't load for you, then you can get our Google Calendar integration. So if you go to bit.ly/Mindvalley Summit 2021. You can bring all the sessions to your Google Calendar and get the URL for whatever session you want for the entire summit. So if you have this sorted, you know everything is sorted out for you in terms of links. So you can choose the session and be back in more or less 7 minutes for our next session. There is a last thing. To assess the session that you've just seen with Naveen Jain, there's a poll that will come on your screen right now, on your Zoom screen, and you can rate the session based on what you learned, based on how much you like the session. You're gonna see this popping up in your Zoom account right now. So please rate the session and let us know how much you loved the session with Naveen and Vishen. I'll see you, ladies and gentlemen, in 6 minutes from now. Cheers.
Hey, another level. We ain't never settle now. Level up. Watch me level up. Watch me. Yeah.
I don't think Mindvalley teaches people something new. They help people uncover what's already there. They help people realize their true potential. They help people grow. And I think that that's what Mindvalley does.
The quests that are offered and the teachings through masters from all over the world really open us up and show us how we can transform as human beings, how we can serve the world, and how we can offer what it is our purpose is meant to be.
In every single category, whether it's educating my kids or raising my inner child, or how do I go about nurturing myself, psychologically. Every answer I need as to how to up-level my life, I've gotten it through Mindvalley. It's right there.
was your night off. You were crying in all the photos. Life hadn't turned out like we thought it would, and you were sick of the choices you made. I was hoping that you might change your mind, that time away would bring us back to life. But now we're living in a different shadow, trying to make it back home. I still feel it, your heart close to mine. I still need it, your hands wrapped in mine. I still miss you, I think of you all the time. I search for this day and night, but a love like yours is hard to find. I don't know how to breathe when I'm not with you. Why did you leave without warning? From the second you were gone, I was just old news, like we were nothing, just an excuse. I was hoping that you might change your mind, that time away would paint it in a better light. But now we're living under different shadows, missing every phone call. But I still feel it, your heart close to mine. I still need this, your hands wrapped in mine. I still miss you, I think of you all the time. I search for this day and night, but a love like yours is hard to find.
The kind of love that tears your chest apart. The kind of dumbstruck look, you're a work of art. I'm longing to know you truly. I'm longing to feel at home. Follow the open doors, did I stray too far? Follow the road that takes me to your arms, taking the time to mend my broken heart, learning to love what I've known from the very start. 'Cause I am worthy of love, and I don't need anyone to tell me. Please tell me I'm sorry. I am worthy of love, and I don't need anyone to tell me. fight the pain that I once let kill my vibe. I fear the day that I lose the chance to fight. Yeah, another level, another level, another level. We ain't never settle now. Level up, watch me level up. Watch me, yeah.
Ah, so good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mindvalley Summit 2021. If you are just joining us right now, my name is Ronan. I am one of your hosts, and right now we are going to have a session with one of the most inspiring teachers that we have the honor to have for our Mindvalley members, Dr. Shefali Tsabary. The first time that I heard Dr. Shefali speaking was in a YouTube show, and it struck me how many epiphanies per second I was having as I was watching a video. You know, back in that time, my main sources of that type of stimulation was only through books with Alan Watts and people who had already passed away. And I said, finally, I found someone who gave me the insights and are still alive, and I can, one day get to interact with this person. Back then, she was speaking on parenting, but Dr. Shefali, she has a doctorate degree on clinical psychology, but she blends that with a lot of mastery of the Eastern philosophy. So she talks about, if you Google her or if you YouTube her, you see her talking about love, her talking about parenting, her talking about marriage, her talking about the human predicament. So what she's doing at the end is deconstructing the human mind and the human predicament. But then last week I was at home and my wife showed me something. She opened her phone and she said, hey, check this out. Alicia Keys is reading a poem from the newest book by Dr. Shefali called Radical Awakening. And I said, yeah, that's not a surprise. Everyone that I know is hooked whenever we get the chance of talking or hearing her speak. And then you go to the comments of the Instagram post and see Oprah raving about her. So, oh yeah, this woman is amazing. Yeah, we all know. I'm glad and honored that we have such a beautiful human being that is part of our Teachers to Mindvalley membership. Dr. Shefali, welcome to the stage of Mindvalley Summit. It is a beautiful honor to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for stroking my ego. And then I have to tone it down all day. But thankfully, I have an 18-year-old daughter who does a really good job at that. So for anyone out there with a big ego, I can send my daughter to you as well. So
wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here. I appreciate the welcome. So today I'm going to talk about what it means to radically awaken. As Ronan mentioned, a lot of my first few books were on conscious parenting. And now I'm talking about awakening for women especially. This doesn't mean that men do not need to awaken, but my focus really is on the woman, because she is the central figure in all our communities and in the home. But awakening is something that all of us need to step into and claim. So thank you for being here. I'm honored that Mindvalley has called me to speak about this very personal and profound topic on awakening. So I'm going to start with a video.
Her big eyes, they absorbed it all. How to be good, sweet, loving, obedient, pleasing. She absorbed it all and grew into the perfect student, girlfriend, wife, and mother. Forgiving, turning the other cheek, avoiding the fight, pleasing the other, keeping everyone happy, saving those who were broken. As she grew, there was more achieving, more pleasing, more doing, more trying. And through it all, she didn't even notice that she was losing her connection to herself, to what mattered to her voice, her direction, her self-honor, her self-worth. She didn't even notice that she had left herself all the way back a long time ago. And then one day, it all came to a screeching halt. It all came down to a crash. It was like that old self had died. She just couldn't continue the same way as before. Nothing she did worked, no matter how hard she tried. That girl, that woman, was me. I had reached a breaking point in my life. Something had to change, had to shift, transform. Something had to die in order for me to awaken. I needed to shed my old fears, my old patterns, false belief systems, my sense of unworthiness, my shame, my guilt. I needed to wake up into my wholeness and worthiness, into my empowerment and courage, into my authenticity and freedom. This book is an ode to my radical awakening, and through it, to yours. Your true self deserves its own radical awakening. It's right. The question is, are you ready for yourself to be rebirthed? The question is only this: are you ready to radically awaken? Then these pages are for you. It is time for us women to radically awaken. It is time for you. Are you ready to radically awaken? What does it mean to radically awaken? As a clinical psychologist, I work with a plethora of wounded souls who come wondering why they are incessantly burning from within and don't understand the cause of this pain. And with each, I have to remind them that although they imagined that their life would be a linear path to a golden destination, sadly, life isn't about that at all. Life is about one thing only: a death and a rebirth. A death of what? A death of our old self and a rebirth into our own new, whole, authentic self. So you may wonder, why? Why is life about a death and a rebirth? We were already born. We were born once and we will die once. So why must we go through this constant rebirthing? Well, the answer is tragic. It is simple. It is true, and it is profound. The sad, tragic, profound truth is this: for some inexplicable reason, we live on this earth in this dimension where unconsciousness is the diet. And because we on this dimension are not yet conscious, and I will explain what that means, we raise our children with a deep-rooted sense of fear and unworthiness. All across the board. It doesn't matter what race you are, whether you're born in Morocco or in New Zealand. It doesn't matter if you're black or you're white. It doesn't matter if you're tall or you're skinny or you have green eyes. It doesn't matter. Every single human being that I have counseled in my practice has come to me lost to their authentic self, asking, where does this pain come from?
And each time I have to give them the tragic, sad, profound truth of our reality that they were born into unconsciousness. And because of this unconsciousness, their entire life will be predicated on a foundation of unworthiness and fear until they radically awaken. So, from where I sit as a therapist, working with brokenness after brokenness, I can tell you that if you were to ask me, what is the purpose of life? I can only say one unequivocal truth about it. We are here to die onto our unconscious, old, unworthy self in order to reclaim and rebirth our wholeness and our most empowered inner truth. This is not given to us in childhood. Whether you like it or not, no parent gives it to their children. Damn it. You would think, oh, Dr. Shivali, maybe you gave it to your children. No, I did not. And it is because I saw myself as a mother vomiting the unconscious wounds of my childhood. By the time my daughter was 3, that I knew that I needed to radically awaken. And that is when I began working seriously on a mission to introduce conscious parenting into my own life and into the lives of those I touch. It is because each one of us is bequeathed with largesse from our parents, an inheritance of emotional pain, that we have no choice, no matter how smart you are and how sexy you are, that you will be inheriting emotional legacies of shame, fear, and unworthiness. Just take it as a given. I've already saved up money for my child's therapy because I will hear about this when she wakes up to the fact that I have given her legacies of my shame, unworthiness, and fear. And I have no guilt about it per se because I am humble to my own unconsciousness. Guilt is hidden narcissism. Guilt says I shouldn't have been unconscious. Humility says I had no choice. This is the sinister truth of our dimension. Each child comes full, ready to claim their power, ready to own their destiny. You did too. You were ready to own your sovereign ownership over your truth. You were ready. You came knowing. You came knowing. You came connected. You came joyful. You came empowered. How do I know this? Because watch any infant. They are truly in their source, in their own inner power, connected, because they are unconditioned. They are not yet conditioned by our unconsciousness. But then, within days, within minutes, the grandparents come and they ask, who does it look like? What should we name it? What is its personality? Oh, I think this one has gone after his mother. This one has her nose. I can tell that she's going to be a stubborn one. And the projections that I call vomit from our unconscious past begin to be spewed and sprayed like air freshener in the nursery onto the child. And the child suckles its mother's breast and thinks that it is taking in nutritious milk, but little does that infant know, no, it is sucking all the unconscious legacies of that belief system that is unexamined within the parent. The parent's unexamined belief systems. If you ask me what is the greatest toxicity in our world today, I will not tell you it is terrorism or global warming. Those are symptoms. The real cause is the unconscious, unexamined belief systems that lie insidiously, sleeping monsters in our mind. And it is those that the infant suckles innocently, taking in its diet, its nutrition, little knowing that with every suckle, with every absorption, what its brain is contorting itself to. Its brain is adapting. It's understanding, oh, I will not be accepted as I am. I will not be able to just be my own being. The infant begins to understand on a subconscious level that who it is, as it is, intrinsically, innately, will be annihilated, will be denied, will be suppressed. And in its authentic space will be a replacement, will be a surrogate, will be a proxy of the false self. And the infant, very young, grows into the toddler, chronologically rising to its challenge of its biology, but psychologically adapting, mutating, morphing to the unexamined, unconscious legacies of the belief systems of its family. How to be a girl, a boy, how to be good, how to be bad, how to be pretty, how to be successful, how to be intelligent, how to be worthy, how to belong. Institution after institution in its life will dictate how it will exist. The child understands early that who it is, as it is, innately, implicitly, will not be good enough. It must do in order to be accepted. It must perform, it must achieve, it must please. And therein, the child realizes that its true self needs to be kept aside. And so it is with each one of us. We left our true selves, like in that video, I left my teddy bear on the shores of Mumbai long, long ago, little knowing that my entire life was becoming an adaptation of someone else's story, someone else's movie. I didn't know. I just thought, I'm just so sweet. I'll just keep pleasing. I didn't know that I lived with this morbid sense of unworthiness, that I had to prove myself. But here I was, as we are, we march onto adulthood thinking this is just who we are. We didn't see that we had to wear the mask of pleaser. We didn't see that we had to wear the mask of superachiever. We didn't see ourselves wearing the mask of rebel. So mask after mask after mask, we suppress our inner knowing. And then one day, whatever that day is for you, that is called the day of the grand reckoning, or as therapists like to call it, rock bottom. Everything falls apart. But you think your life is coming to a calamitous end, but it isn't. Things have to fall apart. They must fall apart, because what is falling apart is the shell, is the mask, is the inauthentic self, is the false self of your ego. You see, when we are born, this whole beautiful being that learns early that who it is on its own is unworthy, it begins to create protection. It creates defenses, one after the other, so that it can get the love and approval and worth. It asks, it begs, am I lovable? Do I fit in? Do you adore me? Am I valid? Do I exist? And anytime it doesn't get the right answer, it adapts through the wearing of a mask. Each human that I have encountered in my therapist's office wears many, many masks. And the sad truth is, we don't even know we are. We don't know we are asleep in the matrix. Because the grand seduction that occurs in childhood occurs so young, when we are so innocent, so absorbent that we do not know that we are being abducted. We do not know that we are being divorced from our inner truth. The first divorce happens when we are the most innocent, and then we just keep betraying ourselves. And we don't realize that when we forsake our inner authenticity for the crumbs of love and worth from anyone who will give us pennies, we are actually declaring the greatest act of war against ourselves. We do not realize that, but we keep engaging in betrayal, self-betrayal after self-betrayal, ignoring who it is we truly are. So then when we hit what therapists call rock bottom, we think it is calamitous. We think it is a failure. We think that it is a dead end. It is shameful. Little do we realize that this is the absolute necessity. As a therapist, I have to tell you that I wait for it. I wait for rock bottom. I send people home and I say, no. You haven't hit rock bottom yet. Come back to me when it's more painful. Right now, you're just complaining. And they're like, no, I really want to change. I'm like, no, you really want to complain. No, you don't want to change. Because change, if you really wanted to change, what you're really saying is, I'm ready to die. And very few of us are ready to die because we're so deeply attached to the masks. Even if the masks cause us pain and make us hide and make us suffer, it is the only life we know. And in that life, we created memories. In that life, we had relationships, however dysfunctional. Are you telling me, Dr. Shefali, we need to give that up in order to radically awaken? And the answer, tragically, profoundly, complexly, is yes. In order to change, in order to transform, we must say goodbye to the old self. But the old self has deep attachments. Attachments to what? Attachments to unconscious belief systems. Institution of education, the belief systems there. Institution of religion, the belief systems there. The institution of work and the ethic of success and the belief systems there. The institution of marriage, parenting, divorce, grandparenting, and it goes on and on. Beauty, youth, niceness. I talk about it all in my book. You can buy it. So these institutions are in place because we as a culture have manifested our inner disconnect through these institutions. Every one of these institutions that I have listed are hierarchical, are dualistic. There is a right way and a wrong way, a good way and a bad way, a correct way and an incorrect way, a successful way and a failure way. Each institution contends with sin, with morality, with rightness, with wrongness. These are institutions that reflect our inner schism. Because we grew up disconnected from wholeness, it is quite natural that we have manifested institutions on the external which reflect the schism. But because we don't know the schism exists inside, because we don't understand that we are deeply disconnected from our inner essence, from our wholeness that was our right when we were born, we keep succumbing to these institutions, obsequiously genuflecting, begging for love and worth through the education. Teacher, am I good enough? And then God, am I good enough? And then husband, am I good enough? And then children, am I good enough? And then people, and then strangers, and then in work. It just goes, it's an incessantly feeding machine. And it will never end because the real void is the one within. But we are seeking to assuage that inner void in all the wrong places. And this is how the world turns, my friends. This is how money gets made, how profit gets accumulated, and the rich go to the bank richer. It is predicated on the initial disconnect, on the initial divorce. There will be no profit to be made if we were whole within. The seeking that comes from a hunger for love and worth makes a lot of money for this capitalist world we live in. I often say that parents are the greatest pawn for capitalism because nothing attacks a parent more than the idea that they are not doing enough for their children. So society keeps feeding parents, oh, your child only speaks one language? Your child doesn't know 14? Your child doesn't know sign language? And your child only plays with his fingers? He doesn't play an instrument or two? So when the parent, because they are disconnected, because their childhood was unconscious, they are disconnected from their essence, that they don't need to do anything to be worthy, they now project this unworthiness onto their children, and culture loves it. And culture plays the parent like a harp, and the parent responds and feeds this inner unworthiness by creating their children into products. And the children now, because they're disconnected from their inner worthiness, because they were treated as objects and products, they do it to their children. And so we are here. No human is just lost. No human is just unhappy, just disempowered, or just out of luck. No. They were deeply invaded in childhood. They were marauded from their inner knowing. They were disconnected to their truth, and it occurred before they gave rightful consent. So to radically awaken, to really change, to really transform means that you need to be willing to dare to go back into your past, to recover who you left behind, to go back, to pick up that teddy bear off the sidewalks of your childhood and reclaim who you once were. That's what it means to radically awaken. But on your path back, you have to shed. You have to let go. You have to release. You cannot say, I want to change, but I want to stay the same. There is no acute transformation without a grand shedding, a great release. I've had 2 radical awakenings in my life. After the first, I was egoically superior to think that I was done. I did not know 22 years later I was going to have my second. My first occurred when I was 21 years old, and I left India in a hurry the minute I could, because I knew that I was being stifled. I had an inner knowing that knew that this was not my place. But what was? I didn't know. I just needed to escape. And when I came to the shores of America, I don't know what my luck was, what opportunity I was able to take so readily, right? Luck is the meeting of readiness with opportunity, that I found myself in a Vipassana meditation retreat at the age of 21. Agonized, meditating 14 hours a day. I didn't know how to drive, otherwise I would have stolen a car and left. So I was stuck there, and I was like, maybe I'll just lose some weight at least. And I was stuck in my ego and stuck in my thinking and stuck in my torture of how to be a good Indian girl. But Vipassana meditation, if you've done it, you will know, has a way of deconstructing you to your knees. And everything I knew about who I was, I watched eviscerate before me. Just vaporize. And I left the Vipassana meditation retreat dead to my old self. But I did not know how to reintegrate into this life, because the shoulds from my childhood, the checklist that I had been holding on to, still had 45 items left. I was only 21. So although there was a burgeoning sense of inner knowing and a truth about the ego, I couldn't stay there. I couldn't stay in the power. I was weak. I was still too young. And so culture robbed me back, or I allowed culture to rob me back. And I went back, checking. I became a wife, and I became a mother, and I finished my PhD. And I went on this journey thinking that I can just keep this wisdom to a contained part of me and just avoid it, because I so needed validation. I needed to keep checking my list, because I was told after item number 72, I will be rich, fit, skinny, and happy. So I was waiting, and I was only at item 59. So this wisdom that I was having, I put in my books, I put in my talks, but inside me at home, I was still doing what I knew to do from childhood. Pleasing, trying hard, from getting love and worth from anywhere, my neighbors, anyone, the baker. And then one day, when my daughter turned around 14 years old, this happens to mothers, when our children discard us and they dare to only treat us as chauffeurs and they don't need us anymore, we are stuck with the epiphany. I do not know who I am anymore. And this happened to me at 44. 22 years after my first death, I realized that I needed to stop. I needed to say no more to my masks, no more to my ego, no more to my pleasing, begging, pleading for love and worth. I needed to end the craving and truly enter who I knew myself to be. This is the point and purpose of each one of your lives, is to understand how we have been denying, shaming, denigrating our authentic self, and to reclaim that which lies waiting for us underneath the layers of institutions and falsities and attachments. It's lying waiting, bejeweled. It's still there, intact, waiting to be reclaimed. This is the purpose of life. We think It is the PhD and the book and the medal and the gold and the bank account. But that is the illusion, the Maya. That is the seduction. And that is what keeps us in the throes of capitalism, in the throes of hunger. It feeds itself hunger to hunger to hunger. So when you wake up and realize that you've been living in a matrix that is eating you from inside, it's a never-ending hamster wheel. It's a joke. Really, it's hilarious how we just keep going. But we have to have the courage to say, I'm calling. The emperor has no clothes. I am calling it. I'm calling bullshit, bullshit. I'm calling it the matrix. I'm bursting the bubble, and I'm going to dare to step out. It takes courage. It takes dying, because the very thing you thought you needed was the love and approval and validation of others, but you're willing to say, no more. I don't need it anymore. But you're scared. It's terrifying. And you step out of the matrix, and you're not, stepping into rose petals. You are stepping into an abyss, into nothingness, into who am I truly? Who am I supposed to be? And you have to endure the no woman's land. You have to endure it. And this is where I see all regressions occur. I see all backtracking, running back. And that's normal. That's normal till the next rock bottom. But if you can understand the narrative, you can understand the journey of the hero, how that no woman's land is important. Without it, you cannot enter the next dimension. So you have to endure it. And that's where you can meditate and get the help of a coach and take a course, because that's where you will be tested. It is the time of testing. But if you can live through that and you can understand that this is what I need to do, this is what I owe myself, the gift I need to shed, I need to release, I need to say goodbye, I will be okay. Then slowly, itchingly, you come out of the cave and you come to the other side and you can see glimmers of something undefined, unknown, but so familiar. And you will know you are coming back home. You're coming back to yourself. So I'm going to show one more video before I wrap up. We are all shackled in fear, tethered to relationships, things, accomplishments. When they go well, we feel well. When they go bad, we feel bad. Like yo-yos, we are constantly being puppeteered by the outside world. Back and forth, up and down, happy and sad. And life doesn't stop, does it? It is stressful, scary, sad, because we're constantly feeling pulled by everything on the outside. We're given this prescription, you see, on how to live life. Go to school, get A grades, be accomplished, be a superstar, find a job, get married, be happy, get children, raise them to be happy, find happiness, be happy, avoid sadness, avoid pain. And we keep going around in circles. And then one day, everything stops. The veils come off. There is nowhere to hide. And we break free from the lies that we are told. And we begin to awaken. And begin to find a new truth within. A truth that tells us we are not our grades, our success, our beauty, our bodies, our accomplishments, our possessions, our children's, or our parents'. We are our own. We are nothing, yet everything. Small, yet infinite. Infinitesimal, yet majestic. We are free. We are untethered. You have always been free. We are, you are, I am untethered. Are you ready
To awaken, catalyze the movement. Join in at aradicalawakening.com. It is time for you to turn pain into power, embrace your truth, and live free. Freedom is your destiny. Each human seeks freedom, but they don't realize that the prize of freedom comes at a price. You cannot have freedom when you are enslaved to the old. You cannot have liberation when you are attached to false belief systems. You cannot have wholeness when you are deeply tethered to your brokenness. Freedom is our destiny. It was taken away, and now it awaits you to reclaim it. So each human has to make that decision at their own turning point. But this talk, I hope, will give you the narrative that when you do reach your breaking point, when you do reach the fork in the road, when you do crumble like that mirror, like that glass that shattered, keep that image in your mind, because when that happens to you, remember that you could possibly be at the precipice, at the crux, at the beginning, at the starting of your most empowered, liberated, free, radically awakened self. This is your destiny. So when that moment comes, don't shrink from it. Step into it, because you have no idea what awaits you. Thank you for listening.
Dr. Shefali, thank you very much for, I am seeing the comments in the comment section. Please, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause, virtual round of applause for Dr. Shefali. I was just thinking, the epiphany that I got from this talk that you gave right now is the idea of us being raised as children under the model of capitalism, and how these things are interconnected. And I started thinking, I don't know any other way. It feels like, okay, I'm lost now. How do I do otherwise? I haven't seen the other model. It feels to me, that idea that the fish is the last one to know about the water. So, yeah, that's how I think about a maybe future son. That's how my parents thought. So that was a bit shattering, and that was what is the other way? So that's the epiphany that you brought to me today. We have a couple of.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, please. We have a couple of questions from our audience that I would love to bring to you. If I could have the questions on the screen right now. Yes, thank you. The first question that we have is about how do I optimize, this is how it's written, my family to be part of my own growth mindset and make them inclusive in my growth journey, especially when challenged with limited resources.
So I'm smiling because the question is loaded with a goal of optimization. Are you sure Vision didn't send that question? No, just kidding. That was the old Vision.
It could be, yeah.
So it's, my work takes a little time to explain, so I have to find the right way to answer this. Conscious parenting is not about optimization. Okay, it's like car crash. No. The mindset of thinking that we can do anything to our children, even if it's an amazing thing like my growth model, is a setup for great disappointment, great ego, and great control. So we're starting wrong, right? And I say wrong with compassion. We're starting off the wrong foot. We don't think in terms of
controlling outcomes and optimizing anything. That's anti-flow. That's anti-present moment. That's anti-kinship connection, understanding who your child is. So when we come as parents with ideas, even if they're great ideas, like I loved to meditate and I had a great idea that my kids should meditate. So I used to say, come on, let's meditate, and I made it a task and a chore. And my daughter, like, if I just say the word, like it sounds like meditation, she runs away because I ruined the whole thing. I was against the whole point of meditation, which is that you arrive at it. It is an expansion of consciousness. So if you want to optimize anything, you optimize your capacity to surrender control over other people and optimize your own present moment awareness and just optimize your own connection to yourself. That is what we need to optimize.
Beautiful.
I say this with them. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. I've seen in many situations this honest and tough love that comes from the words that you say, and it's very authentic. And I think that's the path that you're showing people, is what you see, and that's what you communicate. There's a second question, Dr. Shefali. I think it speaks about the point that I brought to you about the epiphany that I had. That comes from Maria, and she says, how can we break away from all the tradition and find our true self?
Well, the reason I called my book A Radical Awakening is because, like you said, we are fish in water and don't know we are. So I felt, and women especially, are conditioned more than even the man. And I don't want to compare, but it's just a fact. Because our biology is so nurturing that culture exploits it and capitalizes it and abducts us even faster and deeper. So I wrote this book and I called it A Radical Awakening because what you ask takes a process. And in this book, I outline the process. It is not an intellectual 1, 2, 3. It is a journey. So in this book, for example, I take people on a journey, a path that I take my clients on as well to awaken. So in a nutshell, how do we find our true self? First we have to be aware that we've been asleep. The second part is we have to go and confront the shadows of our childhood. The third is we have to release our attachments to our belief systems, but we have to know what they are. And then what I do in this book is I deconstruct our main belief systems. And that's when a lot of people stop reading the book, not a lot, but a few, because they can't take it. They think I'm the devil itself because I'm taking away our cherished belief systems. And then I give a method for how to step into your power, which is creating boundaries, owning your sovereignty, understanding your voice, how to do that. How do you get to know your voice again? Well, I lay it out. It takes work, as Mindvalley has many quests, and I have a great conscious parenting quest with Mindvalley. You have to go on a quest, and you have to go on this journey, 30 days, 60 days, 60 months. You must undertake with a declaration and a commitment to understanding how you've been asleep, understanding how your past has conditioned you, understanding that culture has marauded you, and then being willing to let each of those go one by one. Then you find your true self. So easy.
Beautiful. I love the fact that you always explain the same consistent way. There's not a simple 3 steps that you do A, B, and C, and poof, awaken, right? And there is a lot of awareness of shapes and beliefs that we don't even know we had. Remember in one conversation, in one podcast that I heard from you and Oprah, she was talking to you, asking about what you learned of being a good Indian girl. And you said, hey, there are 3 things that have been supposed there. One, that I am good. That is the belief of me being Indian and the things that come with it. And the beliefs of being a girl and what comes with it. And I saw, wow, it was the first time that I never took that for granted. They are actually a collection of beliefs. Dr. Shefali, this was enlightening, this was beautiful. This to me was mind-shattering. I really appreciate you coming and spending this time with us. and really appreciate all the work that you have already offered to all the Mindvalley members. And if you want to get more of the ideas that Dr. Shefali offers to the Mindvalley members, we have a program with Dr. Shefali for all for our Mindvalley membership called Conscious Parenting, that brings you in that idea of deconstructing who you are. And it will provide you many benefits. I am not a parent yet, but I've been through the course.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
So I have many courses on my own website, but I have to say, even though it's against me, the course that Mindvalley did with me, the 30-day quest, I think it's just called the Conscious Parenting Quest, for me is some of my proudest moments, because the way we put it together, parents don't have time. They only have a few minutes a day. So we really put bite-sized small pieces together in 20 minutes that parents can do. But then at the end of the 30 days, you are a different human being. So if you're a parent, if you want to go on a quest, if you want to deepen your connection with your children, the course I did with Mindvalley is really special. You can try it out, and you can truly evolve in your connection with yourself and your children.
I couldn't agree more. I am not a parent yet, but I've been through your course to get those epiphanies. It's available for all the Mindvalley members. And if you're not a Mindvalley member yet, you can just go to mindvalley.com/membership and get access to Dr. Shefali's quest and all the other quests we have available for our members. Ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing in a few minutes. The first thing that I will invite you is to rate the session. There will be a poll that will pop on your screen on Zoom right now, so you can rate the session that I just had with Dr. Shefali. And then after that, we're gonna merge all the sessions into one. So there is one link. If you were with us from the beginning, is the first link that you joined the first session of Mindvalley Summit today. If you don't know exactly where to go, I want to show this slide. Can we bring this slide with the links on the screen right now, please? I want to show where exactly you can find the links. You can go to mindvalley.com/summit/agenda, and there you have the link for our next session coming with Vishen Lakiani here on the main stage. And other ways of finding the session, finding this and any other during the Mindvalley Summit, you can go to the Mindvalley app, and if you open the Mindvalley app and click on the live tab at the bottom and RSVP to the sessions that you want to attend, you're going to have all the information you need. You can also go to bit.ly/Mindvalley Summit 2021, and this will give all the links to all the sessions and the right time zone to your Google Calendar. My goodness, it makes your life easy in the next 3 days. Ladies and gentlemen, again, a big round of applause for Dr. Shefali. Thank you so much for being here with us. We're going to be in a break for the next around 10 minutes. And I'll see you in the main link for the main stage of Mindvalley Summit 2021. Thank you, and I see you soon. Bye-bye.
We never settle now. Level up. Watch me level up. Watch me. Yeah.
You know, many people think that conscious parenting is about never saying no to our kids, you know, treating them like these fragile little statues in a closet and putting bubble wrap around them and only feeding them what they want. It's not about that. It's really about attuning with the child. You know, what does the child need right now? Can I not power trip my child? Can I just not do things because that's the way parents do things? No, it's about something in between. It's about negotiating, it's about attuning, it's about engaging, it's about connecting with our children. And I think parents want the easy way. You know, either I'm like this, or guess what? I'm nothing. And this is just the parents' way of being lazy, you know, and not doing the work of kind of treading that middle space. I'm Dr. Shefali. I'm a clinical psychologist and wisdom teacher. I went down the path of pursuing a PhD in clinical psychology, but along the way, I also began this intense journey of my own awakening. I began meditating really seriously. I began to understand that all of our suffering is really created in our mind. And I became fascinated with the workings of the mind and really became focused on uncovering the root causes of my own suffering and then inevitably helping my clients with it. I found that this approach of East meets West was quite unique. I didn't know there were not too many people doing it, and it really allowed me to accelerate my power to help people liberate from suffering. And, then quite naturally, people tell you, write a book on it. So you write a book. And that's what I did. I did not expect the book to ever be read by more than 2 or 3 people. So when it actually resonated with strangers and mothers out there, and they began writing to me that, you've changed my child's life and you've changed my life, it really became such a heartwarming experience that I almost got addicted to it. I wanted to help more people. So that gave me the courage to go out there, and then I began speaking at wider and bigger platforms and had larger audiences. And, now I'm here doing this quest with Mindvalley. So I have a 16-year-old daughter, and it's quite an adventure. Simple things like she wants to go out at night, and she wants to go out with a group of boys. And she'll tell me, Mom, they're like my brothers, they're like my best friends. She doesn't know that I know that boys who drink too much can get out of control and they could harm her, possibly. She doesn't know that I'm driving myself crazy with all these fears. So she thinks I'm being controlling when I ask her who's going, what are their numbers, who are their mothers, give me their mother's phone numbers. She thinks I'm a raving lunatic. She doesn't realize that things can get out of control. On the other hand, I don't realize that these boys are good kids, perhaps. Perhaps they are best friends. Perhaps she can trust them. Perhaps they will protect her, right? So it's this constant battle of who knows more. And at some point, honestly, the parent has to kind of relinquish their desire for control, because especially with a 16-year-old, they're going to go out into the world very soon on their own. They've got to kind of flap their wings and try it out and test things out. And part of that is having your heart broken, or drinking too much, or not knowing where to stop and when to come home. This is part of the growing phase. I mean, I made a bazillion mistakes as a teenager, so I know that that's how I learned. So now I have to give my child the opportunity to learn through her own mistakes. People can naturally ask, why should we trust you? Like, what's so special about you? And trust me, before I wrote my first book, I too sat with myself and asked, there have been hundreds of parenting books. What's going to be special about yours? And I think what's unique about my message is that it truly gets to the core of the suffering of the parent. Because I've worked with so many innumerable thousands of families and spoken to hundreds of thousands of people now, I've begun to understand human nature, and I've begun to understand the parent's mind and the parent's attitude, and I deconstruct that and I study that. And I've analyzed the trends that make us as parents stressed out, anxious, unhappy, dysfunctional, and I offer my insights. So I always tell people, don't follow me. The last thing I want you to do is treat me like I'm some exalted guru. I help people discover their own truth. I help them to discover their own wisdom. And I think that's what's perhaps maybe different about me. I don't offer them a technique or an easy fix solution. No, I make them go inside themselves and do the hard work and find their own wisdom and discover that they knew all the answers all along. They know their child better than anyone. And so I really do not take the responsibility of being the leader, the expert, or the guru. I really give that power back to parents, and I teach them how to cultivate their own knowing. And I think that's what's really empowering about my message. So I'm so excited to be working with Vision and Mindvalley, because we have created this amazing quest. It's called the Conscious Parenting Mastery Quest. So you may know a quest is 35 days of this incredible journey that I lead parents on, where I take them through different lessons week by week say week 1, we uncover our patterns and we go into our childhoods and we see how mom and dad messed us up. And then say in week 2, we uncover our fears and our greatest dreams for our children. Talk about our emotional toolkits as parents, and I teach parents how to expand their toolkits. Or we talk about boundaries and discipline and why discipline doesn't work and what will. So week by week, I take parents on this journey toward uncovering their greatest anxieties, towards taming their greatest anxieties and really releasing them. And eventually, the parent comes out at the other side more liberated, more joyful, and more connected with their children. So I'm so honored that Mindvalley is doing this, because the message of conscious parenting really needs to be out there in the world, and this is one more pathway to spreading it to many, many more parents who need it.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the main stage of Mindvalley Summit 2021. If you're just joining us right now, welcome to Mindvalley Summit. My name is Ronan. I am one of your hosts for these 3 days. And right now, we are having a session with the founder of Mindvalley, a guy by the name Vishen Lakhiani, and on this the new ideas and the new knowledge and the new insights that Vishen is developing in his own personal journey. And I think this, from my own personal perspective, by working very closely to Vishen for a couple of years since 2014, I'm consider myself very lucky and very privileged, because I see Vishen in different cycles of his life, learning different things, and every time that he's passionate about something, he develops his knowledge, his practicing, his lifestyle in different areas. We all who get close to him get to see, get to absorb, and get to witness, and get to learn just by being close to him. And it's beautiful when we have a chance of bringing him in front of so many people, so he can share what is going on in that huge, amazing, turbulent mind of his. Welcome to the stage, the founder of Mindvalley, who is calling on Instagram, Mr. Vishen Lakhiani.
Sorry, Ronan, I almost missed my cue, because I've been on Instagram checking out all the amazing stuff you guys have been sharing. So first, a quick shout out. This doesn't come cheap, and if you guys enjoyed the free ticket, you can say thank you by following me on Instagram, at Vishen, V-I-S-H-E-N. You want to get bonus cookie points? Follow Ronan. Ronan, what's your Instagram?
Ronan Diego Insta.
Ronan Diego Insta. You couldn't just get a simple one?
My name is a little bit more common.
Okay, so you want to follow me at Vishen, then Ronan Diego Insta. If you want biceps, follow him. You want mindset, follow me. So you decide, are you about the mind, or do you just care about your biceps? Okay? Now, speaking of that, of the mind, today we're going to be talking about the 6-phase meditation. I'm going to share a slide deck with you, because I'm going to go really deep in a training. And this training is not about the mind, rather it's about the soul. So we're going to go into specific techniques that create the biggest boost in your spiritual core, for lack of a better word. And it is a technique called the 6-phase meditation. Now, you may have heard about it before. Stay tuned, because you're going to see the next level of nuance. I just signed to create a new book on the 6-phase meditation. We don't have a name for the book yet. I'm going to be probably running a competition with you guys to help me get the name for the book. And we'll come to that in a moment. I want to talk about what I shared with you at the start of this summit. We spoke about holistic transformation, and I said there are 6 practices that everyone should bring into their life. Meditation, energy practices like Qigong or Tai Chi, journaling, supplements. Supplements would be 5-HTP, magnesium, any supplement you take to boost your health. Biome is also a form of supplement, a lot more expensive, but it's customized to you. and then Quest, which is the Mindvalley learning format. If you do 20 minutes of a Mindvalley Quest a day, your life and the quality of your life to be excellent is guaranteed. And then finally, exercise. Now, many people say, well, that's a lot, Vishen, but I want you to pay attention to the minutes. If you do it right, you can get the impact of a 2-hour meditation session in 20 minutes. How do we know this? MRI brain scans using high fidelity MRI that can actually see what meditation specific techniques are lighting up the areas of the brain that we can associate with the brains of Zen Roshi monks and other people who are classically bliss. So you see, science has gotten a lot more evolved than it was in the 1990s. Today we know that you can optimize meditation. Today we know that we can optimize spiritual practices. Today we know we can optimize exercise. But so many of us believe that these are long, drawn-out processes. Now, if you love meditating for 2 hours, nothing wrong with that. You love exercising for 2 hours a day, nothing wrong with that. But what about the other techniques? Are you making time for them? Because otherwise you end up out of whack. You might have an incredible body, but how's your spiritual essence doing? How's your mindset doing? Or you could be like I was in 2016. I was meditating. I had the mindset down, but my body was a mess. I'm going to show you my body transformation on day 3, thanks to concepts like 10x. So when you can make it all holistic and understand that you can get amazing results in minutes, even if you are, like me, a dad and a CEO and a genuine all-time busy person, there's space for this. Now today, in this session, we're going to focus on the first one, meditation. Energy practices, if you want to go deeper into that, listen to Lee Holden, who's going to be speaking. Journaling, we had Patrick Grove teach you. Supplements, we had Viome. Quest is going to be a theme. I hope the vast majority of you become a Mindvalley member. Then all 50 of our quests are instantly unlocked for you. And exercise, we're going to focus on this on day 3. Right now, we're going to talk about meditation. And I'm going to teach you the 20-minute hyper-optimized approach, scientifically proven, to give you the same results as 2 hours of meditation, but in 20 minutes. So let's get started. Now, before I begin, I wanted to share this picture. See if you can guess what's going on here. This picture is Mindvalley University. It was taken in this exact same conference hall 3 years ago. We had 1,300 Mindvalley members come to Tallinn, Estonia. We converted this, and this is just one room in a multi-room, a 7-room conference center. We converted this entire conference center into a Mindvalley school for 4 weeks. We had hundreds of events. I'm going to play a video of this tomorrow so you guys can see how epic it is. And I show this to you because I want you to know that Mindvalley membership is not just digital. Unlike many other online learning programs, we have a physical element, and we have a tribe of people that insanely love coming together. Obviously, this picture was taken pre-pandemic times, otherwise we'd all be infected right now, because as you can see, we get pretty close. But in June, July 2022, all of you members are going to be invited to come to Tallinn, where we're going to organize hundreds of events for people of all ages. There'll be classes for 3 to 9-year-olds, 9 to 12-year-olds, teenagers, adults. Every weekend, there's going to be epic festival-level parties, and we make it affordable because we want to encourage anyone to come. We typically have people from 50 countries. So look out for that. It's Mindvalley University. And if you want to see a glimpse of it, just go to mindvalley.com/university. It is only for our members. So I want you to know Mindvalley is more than just digital. Now, the next photo I wanted to share is this. That is me as a teenager. And this was around the time I discovered meditation. You'll notice my mother in that photo. She was a school teacher. My dad, he had just started his first business, became an entrepreneur. And as you can tell, I wore really massive 80s level glasses. But what is not so apparent in that picture is how bad my skin was. You see, I had really, really, really serious case of acne. I'd been taken to dermatologists and they couldn't do anything about it. So I grew up as a teenager really underconfident, because imagine how you would feel if you were going to school and the other kids nicknamed you pimple face. Now, one day, I stumbled upon a book called The Silva Method. And that book was about the power of the mind over body. And in that book, Jose Silva, the author, mentioned how he could take a person, hypnotize them to believe that a marker was a red-hot poker. He would put the marker on their skin and a burn bubble would form. He would then hypnotize them that his hand could heal the burn bubble, and instantly the bubble would disappear. Silva went on to say that the skin is the part of the human body that is most susceptible to the mind. And he proved it instantly in real time using hypnosis. This fascinated me. So I went deep into the Silva method. And what I started to do was to apply it to heal my skin. This is what I did. I went into the Silva method. It's a rapid form of meditation. It takes you around 1 minute to go into what is called the alpha level of mind. And there I would apply a technique called imagery therapy to heal the skin. For 5 years, I was pimple face. In 5 weeks, my skin healed. And armed with this knowledge, I decided to see, what else can I do with my mind? Could I use my mind to hit goals? Could I use my mind to influence aspects of my body? Could I use my mind to be an entrepreneur? And that is how my journey started. Now today, interestingly enough, science has caught up, and there's an emerging field of research called psychodermatology, which studies the interaction of the mind and skin. So today we know that Jose Silva's writings from the 1970s were not based on just his observation. This is now real. The mind can influence the body, but not just your health. It can influence your moods. It can influence luck. It can influence opportunities and synchronicity. The question is, how do you get into that state where it's automatic? And this is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about not just meditation, but meditation that transforms you in remarkable ways in 20 minutes a day. The graph you're seeing here is from the book Altered Traits by Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman says we're entering a new era of human civilization where we are learning to tap into altered states. And there are many ways to tap into altered states. I'm sure you've heard of ayahuasca, you've heard of neurotraining, you've heard of plant medicine, you've heard of breath work. All of that has a place. But Goleman says the number one way is meditation. Now, if you look at that graph, you'll notice something really interesting. Notice the amount of research in meditation and how it starts shooting up in 2010. So before 2010, meditation wasn't really taken seriously. I remember when the first Mindvalley websites went up in 2003, 2008, I didn't use my real name because I was afraid I would get fired from my job. I used a fake name. I wasn't Vishen Lakiani. I was genuinely afraid I would get fired. I used the name John Lackey or something like that. Not going to give you that name. I don't want you finding that old website. But it was only after 2010 that I could go out and tell my friends that I was teaching meditation. Today, we've come so far. I've been doing this since 2003. That's when I became trained as a meditation instructor. And the science began fascinating me because the science was there all the way back there. We just didn't talk about it as much. The Washington Post said meditation increased activities of the brain related to positive emotions. CBS News said it helped depression, control pain, increase longevity, slow down cancers, invigorate the immune system, significantly reduce blood pressure. Today we know it helps reshape your brain, slows down aging of the brain. It increases gray matter. Your cortical thickness is associated with decision-making, attention, and memory. Meditation increases it. It makes you less reactive. In other words, it makes you less of an asshole. And if the entire world meditated, think about how the world would be. But the question is, what really is meditation? This is where it gets confusing. Is it clearing your mind of all thoughts? Is it focusing on your breath? So I want to teach you how to get the extreme benefits of meditation without the pain. You know, 50% plus of Americans who try meditation stop because they believe it's about stopping your mind or focusing on your breath, and it gets boring quickly, but it's not. Now, when you do meditation right, this is what happens. I was surprised a couple of years ago when I came across this article in Billboard magazine. Miguel, who's a famous R&B star, he wrote the song Remember to Forget. He did the music for the Pixar movie Coco. He spoke about how he meditates with his 30-member crew before going to a concert. The style he uses, the 6-phase meditation. It's right there in Billboard. Camilla Hansen, Miss Sweden, she mentioned that the meditation that she learned from me, 6-phase, helped her heal her skin. If you want good skin, listen to Miss Sweden. Tony Gonzalez just made the NFL Hall of Fame. He's an American record holder. He wrote in the New York Times that he studied meditation with me. That's a picture of us together. Now, the craziest story is this. Bianca Andreescu was a 16-year-old Romanian girl. She started learning creative visualization through Mindvalley. She even attended a seminar called Be Extraordinary. That seminar, by the way, is available to all of you as members. It's in your membership. Now, at Be Extraordinary, she attended a live class in Toronto. This was before COVID. During COVID, we made it online. She learned the 6-phase, and she learned how to visualize her goals. And she visualized herself winning the US Open. In 2018, at the age of 19 years old, 2019, at the age of 19, Bianca Andreescu won the US Open. When they asked her how she did it, she credited the book. She said, "Where's my phone?" She pulled up her phone and she showed the Code of the Extraordinary Mind and mentioned how the book had changed her. This is the technique that you will learn. And by the way, you can see Bianca tweeted that she had an amazing experience at the Be Extraordinary seminar. That seminar, she said, changed her life. She said, "I would love to one day be part of the incredible team. What Mindvalley is doing to humanity is what we needed a long time ago, respect." Thank you, Bianca Andreescu, and I'm so proud of her. Won the US Open, beat Serena Williams, then ran up to thank Serena and apologize because that is her heart. Now, all of you who are members, great news. The Be Extraordinary seminar is digitized and it's in your membership. It's 12 hours of training. It will change your life. Dive in whenever you're ready. If you're not a member, this alone is worth the entire price of membership. So go for it. It will change your life. Not saying you will win the US Open, but who knows what it'll do for you in your respective career.